Oh, he's dictator posting again?
We have a guy in Illinois, the governor of Illinois, saying that crime has been much better in Chicago recently, and Trump is a dictator. And most people say, if you call him a dictator, if he stops crime, he can be whatever he wants. I'm not a dictator, by the way, but he can be whatever he wants.
I'm not a dictator shirt, et cetera, et cetera.
I mean, you have a really rotten mayor there, too. He's got a 6% approval rating in Chicago. And I see black women wearing a red MAGA hat last night on television. Please let the president come in. My son was attacked. You have a force of black women. They're like only Trump. They want Trump to come in. And you see them, they're all over the place in Chicago because they're afraid to go out and they don't want their son or their daughter killed, just like your parents didn't want you killed. And we have a tremendous...
Gotta say, the Democrats have definitely not made themselves very stable against this kind of rhetoric, because they participate in the exact same, like, law and order, anti-crime bullshit. The only time... We're only now hearing about how these cities are stable and how crime is down now that Trump is trying to send the military into them. Because I swear to God, like, beyond that, every fucking year from every Democratic mayor and governor, it's more and more like, well, actually, we need more police, more funding for the police, you know? And skepticism being thrown on any progressives who are like, what if we tried something different? I mean, fuck, look what's going on with Cuomo and Mamdani. The fact that basically the entire DNC establishment continues to passively support Cuomo when Cuomo is exactly this kind of like militant law and order, we need to clean the filth off the street type. Not very resistant to the rhetoric.
You have Democrats that will never vote for anything. I could say that we're going to lower your taxes by 50%. We're going to guarantee you free cities, safe cities. Nobody will ever get touched, molested, beat up, shot in the head. We're going to give you the greatest country ever. We need your vote. And they won't vote. And they do it in unison. The only thing they do good is cheat on elections and unite. You know why they unite? Not because they're good or they're loyal people. They unite because they're afraid. Problem in Congress.
What the hell?
This happened where something like this could have taken place. In the meantime, his board was staying by him. And I said to him, and
yeah, I do wish Democrats were better at cheating and then uniting for political reasons.
Took about, I would say, less than 45 seconds. I said, you know what you should do if you're smart? Give the United States of America 10% of your company. And he looked at me and he said, I'll do that. I said, I just made $11 billion for the United States.
You know, somebody earlier said that America is basically indistinguishable from Russia now. And I do not think that is true, in large part because I genuinely think that Russia has its oligarchical autocracy much better figured out than this. This is super, super embarrassing, you know? Or Imperial Japan. No, we're not Imperial Japan. They were way more competent. Like, it's embarrassing. We do have the gold leaf, that is true. But it's so destabilizing. It's Russia 15 years ago. Yeah, that might be a little bit, yeah, maybe that would be a little more apropos. I guess we're going down that same path.
And we made the deal. I didn't pay, we didn't write a check. Now, I guess Biden, with his stupid CHIPS Act, handed money to all these people that didn't need any money. Exactly. It didn't do anything. You know, they're giving...
Imperial Japan had to literally murder all the big liberal politicians before fascists could take over, saying it's Japan's insulting to Japanese liberals. That's true. That's true. Republicans have managed to completely take over without having to hurt any of the liberals. I mean, there were those two in Minnesota who got assassinated, but that wasn't really like a necessary part of the overall strategy, I feel.
Because, you know, your laws here make it very difficult. And one of the other laws we're trying to get done, because you have 14-year-old kids that are just as tough as a 25-year-old kid, just as dangerous, and they carry the same gun. And we have to make a provision where they're treated like older people, because these are seriously tough, bad. They're children, but they're criminals, and they're really bad criminals. And they're used by older people because they never get charged because you can't do anything to them.
Like in Breaking Bad.
But we are getting that change, Pam, I hope, because you have 14-year-old kids that are evil, they're sick, and they have to be put away. Something has to be done because you can't have a society where they're allowed to walk the street. You know that better than anybody.
You have spoken out very strongly for a long time about what you see as the weaponization of government.
Yeah.
Is your administration weaponizing
No.
government by digging into the mortgage records of officials you don't like?
No, they're public. I mean, you can find out those records. You can go check out the records yourself. And you should be doing that job, actually. You wouldn't do that because that's not the kind of reporter you are. But you should be doing that job. I shouldn't have to be doing it. If you did your job properly, we wouldn't have problems like Lisa Cook. Go ahead. You were going to say something? Go. Blue?
No. We're never getting out of this pit, are we?
Got under arrest and prosecution, and we've taken some, and we're in the process of taking hundreds out of our country that shouldn't be here. And these are hardcore professional criminals. They were born to be criminals, in my opinion, but they're seriously bad people. Murderers, drug dealers, you know them all. You see them all as you walk beautifully to work, and every once in a while somebody puts a gun to your head, because that's what happened in your case. Got under...
In your case?
Kathy Hochul said that she spoke to you on the phone, and you said you might send National Guard troops to New York. You mentioned that. So will you...
I'd love to do it. If she'd like, I get along with Kathy. If she'd like to do that, I would do it.
What do you think? Do you think that's the play Kathy's going to make? It's the entire goddamn meeting of shit like this.
Two more things. The Department of Commerce is going to start issuing its statistics on the blockchain because you are the crypto president, and we are going to put out GDP.
It's a fucking smiling friends
so people
bit.
can use the blockchain for data distribution, and then we're going to make that available to the entire government so all of you can do it. We're just ironing out all the details so we can do it.
I'm the crypto president. It's a fucking smiling friends bit. Do you think he knows what a blockchain is? No, he doesn't know what a blockchain is. Why would you? How do you put the GDP on the blockchain? Oh my God.
Everybody here who spoke works at the Department of Labor, clearly, which I love. They have all the correct talking points, but I think that's a testament, again, that we are all working together every single day. We talk to each other often, and the workforce, the skilled workforce, the education factor, retirees, it's been so important because they all touch the Department of Labor, and I have the opportunity to work with every single one. If you all haven't stopped by the Department of Labor, Mr. President, I invite you to see your big, beautiful face on a banner in front of the Department of Labor, because you are really the transformational president of the American worker, along with the American flag and President Roosevelt, because we're bringing business and labor together. And I was so honored to unveil that yesterday, and everybody is taking note of that. You all...
The glazing? Yeah, this is, again, this is the reason why I think there's a lot of ambiguity as to like how much the Republican Party has a handle on things after Trump dies or becomes politically less relevant. And I think a lot of people think that like J.D. Vance is being groomed to be a successor, or like somebody else was, or maybe. I think that's all wrong. I think that the Republicans have no plans after Trump dies or, you know, decides to retire, anything like that. And everyone is just desperately trying to get their grift in before then. Like everyone right now is just carving up the pie, trying to take on as many projects as they can, trying to glaze grandpa as much as they can, and because they know that it's all temporary. Not to say, mind you, that Republicans aren't going to hold control over the government. That might still happen, but their presence in the government is probably just temporary. They don't want to be permanent government workers. They all just want to be rich pedophiles with an island. You know? That's why there's so much embarrassing glazing all the fucking time.
And again, in Oregon, where we are expecting a crackdown. Thank you for what you are doing with your agents on ICE, and thank you for the prosecution that I hope you will come to Portland, Oregon, and crack down. But while there are still good people, I was able to visit Buckeye Pacific, really a trading floor for the timber industry. So we still want to focus on great, hardworking American businesses.
This is worse than Russia. Well, the oligarchs in Russia, for the most part, are like powerful businessmen, right? But in this case, all the people at this cabinet meeting, they're not powerful businessmen. They're all like wannabe TikTokers. Like, everyone here is a fucking influencer. Seriously, most of these people have career backgrounds in media. There's a reason why one of the most, like, politically storied and competent people is also one of the quietest, Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio is easily one of the most competent people in the administration, and you don't see him constantly doing these, like, desperate grabs for attention in front of a camera. Because he's a politician, you know? Everyone else here is some variant of influencer. Not everyone, but, you know. This one takes the cake for the most glaze. We saw that one. Yeah, the Nobel Prize one.
Friends, for all my SEC friends in the room. Thank you for saving college football, by the way. We're all very grateful. The country just feels different. It just feels different.
Steve, please.
Mr. President, working for this government, for you, is the greatest honor of my life. I tell it to everybody, and I really do feel that way, and I thank you, because it's a privilege to go out there and represent you in your humanitarian effort, in your goals of solving conflicts all over the world. I think there were actually more than 7 conflicts that you've put to bed in the last 8 months.
A meeting of the Korea Workers' Party in Pyongyang. Let's listen in. You know, at a certain point, you have to stop making comparisons to other countries, and you have to just acknowledge that this is the country that you're in now. And by the way, the level of sycophancy that we're seeing here, sycophancy? Is it sycophancy or sycophantry? I don't know which one it is. The degree of glazing bullshit present here is no different than what Democrats do behind the curtains. Keep that in mind. Like, you have to think about it. What was going on behind the scenes to allow Biden to run again in 2024? Sycophancy, yeah. Like, this same shit is happening. The only difference is that the Republicans are shameless enough to do it in public, and they do it with a lot of very open, obvious graft. Dem consultants think talking about the military takeover doesn't resonate. Yeah, I'm sure. It's a distraction from the kitchen table issues. Dems messaging nerds urged party not to talk about Trump's military takeover. Cool. Can somebody get me the archive? Rolling Stone has been doing good lately, yeah. What isn't a distraction? I don't fucking know, man. Oh, I hear a plane. It's rumbling. Didn't expect Rolling Stone and Wired to be the best publications. I feel it. I feel it. Yeah, I just wanted to see the gist of this. Blue Rose Research, the firm led by Democratic establishment darling David Shore, produced a memo earlier this month digging into the effectiveness of various messages related to Trump's takeover of Washington, D.C. The firm advised that messaging around Trump's rising authoritarianism was highly unconvincing, while messages that say Trump wants to distract from his damaging tariffs or horrifying Medicaid cuts were more effective. Meanwhile, Republican messaging about how Trump is clamping down on gang violence tested through the roof. Of course, obviously. Nice. Is every Democrat advisor Alyssa Slotkin? Democrat advisors, on average, are several degrees worse than Alyssa Slotkin, okay, I promise you. Dems would have called the Night of Long Knives a distraction. Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. The Knights of Long Knives and Broken Glass both would have been called distractions from the real important issue of the Hitler's, like, economically destabilizing, cronyism within industry. It's almost like they take the polls, completely invert them. No. The problem is that when these consultant firms are looking at what tests well, what works well, they're only doing it with audiences that are already receptive to the perceived delivery of those messages. Or to put it another way, Republicans respond well to messaging about Trump clamping down on gang violence because Republicans have been primed for years to be terrified of blacks and browns and so on, menacing their cities and putting the crime rate through the roof. Democrats, however, are massive, gigantic bleeding vaginas. They're horrible cowards. So for Democrats to shift from something they've focused on for you know, years and years now, which is banal, technocratic management of the economy bullshit, over into something immediate and alarming and urgent, it doesn't seem as convincing because what? Democrats are the ones telling you? Oh, sure, the Democrats are telling you that Trump's getting authoritarian. Whatever. Nobody fucking cares, right? If the party was good at delivering that message, it would poll best. But, you know, that's not the world we live in. Jesus, man. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries was asked on CNN on Sunday what the party's plan is to fight the president sending troops into Chicago. He only offered that Trump has no authority to do this, and he supports the men and women working in law enforcement. He also, as the Blue Rose memo suggested is effective, cast the federal takeover as a distraction from Trump's unpopular policies. Jeffries didn't seem too worked up about any of this, delivering his talking points with a complacency that did not belie the U.S. is currently experiencing a militarized dismantling of representative democracy. Yeah. I hate them so much, but it's not enough. You should hate them more than you hate Republicans, you know? You should. You absolutely should. What can you do about the Republicans? Not very much. At least there's something we can do about the Democrats. Even that article mentions how Dems can't win on the law and order bit. You got to understand, man. Everything we're saying about the Democrats right now has been true for decades. The idea that they're capitulating to Republicans by being weak on our law and order rhetoric, like always sort of like acquiescing or giving ground in that. The idea that the Democrats are willing to like overlook politically popular issues in favor of banal technocratic, so on and so forth. The only difference is that Republicans used to engage in that a lot as well. You know? Republicans also used to do that a lot because it was neocons and neolibs, and that was the dynamic, and both parties were pretty similar, you know. It's just that now, like, fascists on the right woke up and they were like, no, we actually want to win, and now they're winning. Oh yeah, there's Hakeem Jeffries.
Because and we should continue to support local law enforcement and not simply allow Donald Trump to play games with the lives of the American people as part of his effort to manufacture a crisis and create a distraction because he's deeply unpopular. The one big ugly bill is deeply unpopular. Ripping health care
Create a distraction
away from millions of Americans is unpopular. Enacting tax breaks for their billionaire donors is deeply unpopular, and that's why a lot of this is taking place, Donna.
Do you think it's manufactured that Americans, even likely in the city of Chicago, are worried about crime?
Of course people are going to be worried about...
Incredible. What was that, like a 4-second delay? House Minority Leader. Senior politician.
Public safety all across America. I represent a community that for decades has had to deal with the crack cocaine epidemic, the failed war on drugs.
And what is his response, by the way? A conciliatory gesture to the right immediately. Crime in Chicago is down. Violent crime in Chicago is way the fuck down. Violent crime all across the country is way the fuck down. This is an empirical fact. Hakeem can simply say crime is objectively down. Of course we want people to be safe. Having the military sent into Chicago as a way of, you know, dismantling our democracy is not an appropriate solution to that, though. Anything to that effect. But instead, now he gets to go and ramble on about how anti-crime he is and how pro-law and order he is. And, oh, if he could just give a raise to every single police officer.
Gunshots going off at different points in time in communities. So, of course, all of us will continue to focus on making sure we can drive down crime whenever and wherever it is taking place. This is not about the American people. The American people understandably want safer communities. As Democrats, we want safer communities.
We're on like 30 seconds of him capitulating to the right's framing.
We want to continue to make sure that crime can go down as it's...
Like, nobody thinks Democrats are pro-crime except for Republicans already voting for Trump. This doesn't appeal to anyone. There are no independents or moderates or, you know, right-leaning Democrats or whatever who are going to be convinced by this, who are like, oh, no, well, I think Democrats like crime, but now I've been convinced otherwise by Hakeem Jeffries' impassioned speech.
Doing in Chicago, in New York, in Washington, D.C., and other places. And to do that, we should support local law enforcement. We should make sure that the flood of guns into these communities is cut off. We should make sure that we're dealing with the mental health crisis that exists all across the United States of America, and by the way, which Donald Trump is exacerbating by cutting funds to actually help people who are...
Remember how the question was about, like, the framing of Trump sending the military into Chicago, and then he fully spent, like, over a minute not even addressing the question, but rather talking about how law and order he is? Jesus fuck. Somebody asked earlier, like, how did Hakeem Jeffries get to this point? Like, what did he do beforehand? He was Chuck Schumer's protege. In case you were wondering.
dealing with emotional distress.
I want to ask...
Because that's always how it is. Yeah, I think it was Pelosi. Well, Pelosi picked him, but didn't he, like, explicitly, not train under, that's like a dojo term. Didn't he, like,
And we...
don't replay. Like, learn a bunch from him? Am I thinking of Anthony Weiner? He studied the blade under Schumer. Let me just confirm really quickly my memory that he studied the blade under Schumer. Like, I know Nancy Pelosi was the person who actually put him there because she was the previous Democratic House Majority Leader, but I want to, not really mentioned here. Okay. Maybe I am misremembering that. Jeffries visited Israel for his first trip abroad as House Democratic leader. In Israel, he led a delegation of House Democrats. Nice. Very good. Crime crisis is so manufactured in D.C. that National Guard troops are reduced to doing trash pickup. Honestly, good. Probably the only good they're doing out there. I mean, hell yeah, man, while you're out there. Trump is a disgrace with no respect to the military. I imagine being the kind of person to see this and be mad about it, but because it's disgraceful to the soldiers and not because of the occupation of the city / but you're happy that this is what they're doing. This is legit what I want the Army Corps of Engineers doing daily. The Army Corps of Engineers is busy, man, okay? They have to supervise, like, every bridge in the country. Yeah, whatever. Whatever, man.